Greetings and salutations, everyone. I'm Dr. San Pandey, and I bring a multidisciplinary approach to health and wellness. Today, let's focus on something not often discussed: the role our minds and emotional states play in breast cancer outcomes. The mind-body link, a deep dive into the scientific perspective. Why did the cell become cancerous? Because it just couldn't let go of its issues. While humor can serve as a balm, we need to confront the serious question: how does the mind interact with the body in the context of breast cancer? The field of psychoneuroimmunology gives us some compelling answers. PNI explores how psychological states such as stress can have a significant impact on the immune system, thereby influencing disease outcomes, including cancer. The basics of psychoneuroimmunology. Psychoneuroimmunology is an interdisciplinary field combining psychology, neuroscience, immunology, physiology, and even pharmacology to understand the interconnectedness of our mental and physical states. The central premise is that psychological factors can indeed influence immune responses, and that these immune responses can have far-reaching effects on health, stress, cortisol, and immunity. One of the most studied aspects of PNI is how stress affects cortisol levels. Cortisol is often called the stress hormone because it's produced in higher quantities during stressful situations. Elevated cortisol has been shown to suppress the immune system, making the body more susceptible to infections and possibly enabling the growth and spread of cancer cells. Stress doesn't operate in a vacuum. It sends ripples through our entire physiological framework. The Marsland study. This research found a direct link between psychological stress and the levels of inflammatory markers in the body. Inflammatory processes are a critical component in the initiation and progression of cancer. The implication is clear. Emotional and psychological states are not just ephemeral experiences in our heads. They manifest in measurable ways in our bodies, affecting our health at a cellular level. The mechanisms at work. What are the mechanics of this interaction between mind and body? Stress activates the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, triggering the release of cortisol. Elevated cortisol levels can lead to a cascade of inflammatory responses, and this inflammation creates an environment that is conducive for cancerous growth. As Marsland's study shows, there is a measurable link between these stress-induced changes and markers associated with cancer. Bridging ancient wisdom and modern science. Interestingly, the concept that the mind can influence bodily health is not new. It's deeply rooted in ancient philosophies. In Ayurveda, the mind, manas, and the body, sharir, are two sides of the same coin, and mental imbalances are believed to lead to physical ailments. What PNI does is provide a scientific framework for these age-old wisdoms, substantiating them with empirical data. By weaving the insights of modern science with age-old wisdom, we open new doors for holistic approaches to health, particularly in the realm of breast cancer. Understanding the mind-body link is not just an academic exercise. It's a crucial, actionable insight that can inform how we treat and cope with diseases like cancer. Stress and breast cancer, an examination of the data. Understanding stress hormones. Let's begin with the basics: stress hormones. Cortisol is the primary stress hormone produced by the adrenal glands in response to stress. While it serves essential functions such as regulating metabolism and reducing inflammation, chronic stress leads to sustained elevated levels of cortisol, which is where the problem begins. High cortisol levels can suppress the immune system, reducing its efficacy in identifying and fighting off pathogens, including cancerous cells. The immune suppression hypothesis. Researchers have theorized that the immune suppression caused by elevated cortisol levels can create an environment where cancerous cells thrive. When the immune system is suppressed, it's less efficient in recognizing and fighting off abnormalities, like cancer cells. In other words, chronic stress might not just be a risk factor for developing breast cancer, it could potentially exacerbate an existing condition. The Eastern philosophical take on balance. It's fascinating how Eastern philosophies like Taoism and Buddhism have always emphasized the importance of balance or equilibrium in life, advocating for a middle way, free of extremes. From the Taoist concept of yin and yang to the Buddhist philosophy of the middle way, maintaining a balanced state is heralded as a pathway to health. These philosophies may not have known about cortisol, but they had intuitively grasped a truth that Western science is now validating. Imbalance is a precursor to disease. Empirical research. Several studies highlight the role of stress in cancer progression. One study by Cheetah, Hammer, Wardle, and Steptoe conducted a meta-analysis of existing literature and found that stress is linked to cancer progression, but not necessarily to cancer onset. This has critical implications for cancer survivors, as managing stress may play a role in preventing recurrence. Cultural practices for stress management. Various cultures offer ways to manage stress that may have far-reaching health implications. For instance, meditation, stemming from Eastern practices, has been found to reduce stress and its physiological effects. Likewise, indigenous rituals around the world often incorporate stress-reducing techniques like rhythmic dancing and chanting. Interdisciplinary considerations. Stress management isn't just the domain of psychology. It's a multidisciplinary effort that should include oncologists, psychotherapists, spiritual counselors, and even philosophers. This multidisciplinary approach mirrors what Eastern philosophies have been saying for centuries. Health is holistic and all-encompassing. There's a growing body of research pointing towards the detrimental effects of stress, especially chronic stress, on breast cancer outcomes. These findings bridge various cultures and philosophies, underscoring the need for an integrated approach to healthcare that considers not just the body, but the mind and the spirit as well. Emotional wellness and breast cancer, a multicultural lens. The empirical perspective. First, let's delve into the scientific basis of the relationship between emotional well-being and breast cancer outcomes. The study by Spiegel and Gies-Davis is a vital reference point. Their work correlates emotional well-being with improved outcomes in breast cancer patients. They suggest that emotional wellness can potentially bolster the immune system and have beneficial effects on cancer progression. The mechanism behind emotional well-being. The psychological state of emotional well-being doesn't just improve one's quality of life, it also manifests physiologically. Emotional well-being may decrease levels of stress hormones like cortisol, modulate immune response, and even affect cellular health, thereby possibly impeding cancer progression. The Hindu philosophy of sattva. Sattva, in Hindu philosophy, refers to a state of harmony, balance, and tranquility, which aims for a mind free of turmoil. This aligns well with the contemporary scientific understanding that balance and emotional well-being can have a protective effect on health. In Hinduism, achieving a sattvic state often involves practices like meditation, ethical living, and a balanced diet, all aimed at cultivating an emotionally balanced and peaceful state of being. Kabbalistic insights on emotional equilibrium. Likewise, Kabbalistic philosophies also emphasize emotional equilibrium. At the heart of Kabbalah is the concept of tikkun olam, or repairing the world, which starts with inner balance. The Kabbalistic Tree of Life, a symbolic representation of the cosmos, includes sephirot that signify different emotional and intellectual attributes, underscoring the importance of emotional balance in spiritual growth and, by extension, well-being. A shared human concern across cultures. From Ayurvedic practices in India to Native American rituals in the Americas, various cultures around the world have long intuited the significance of emotional balance for overall health. These ancient wisdom traditions are now finding validation through scientific research, creating a fascinating synergy between age-old practices and modern medicine. Emotional wellness as an integrated approach. This confluence of science, spirituality, and culture in discussing emotional wellness is not coincidental. It reflects the complex and multifaceted nature of humans and posits that our health cannot be compartmentalized into physical and emotional, but rather is an amalgam of both. The pursuit of emotional wellness is universal, transcending cultural, religious, and geographical boundaries. What's more, it holds demonstrable promise for improving outcomes in breast cancer, further elevating its importance. By integrating these diverse perspectives, we not only enrich our understanding, but potentially unlock new pathways for enhancing health and well-being. The role of epigenetics in breast cancer and emotional wellness. Unveiling epigenetics, the basics. In essence, epigenetics deals with changes in gene expression that don't involve alterations to the underlying DNA sequence. Think of it as adding annotations to a book without changing the text itself. These notes change how the book is read and understood. The epigenetic humor, lightening the load. Before we go deeper, let's lighten the mood a bit. Did you hear about the gene that got turned off? Well, apparently, it needed a break from its stressful life. It just goes to show, even genes need a little me time. From lab to life, real-world implications. Epigenetics has staggering implications for breast cancer. Research has demonstrated that external factors such as stress, diet, and yes, even emotional states can induce epigenetic changes. These changes can in turn affect how genes involved in cell growth and apoptosis, cell death, express themselves. For example, prolonged stress could lead to the silencing of tumor suppressor genes, thereby creating an environment conducive for cancerous growth. Stress and epigenetic changes. The relationship between stress and epigenetic changes has been the subject of intense research. Stress-related hormones like cortisol could, in theory, lead to epigenetic modifications that make cells more susceptible to cancer. Conversely, states of emotional well-being might induce positive epigenetic changes that boost immunity and inhibit tumor growth. An interdisciplinary paradigm shift. The epigenetic perspective brings an integrated interdisciplinary approach to the table. It challenges us to go beyond genetics and examine the complex interplay between genes and environmental factors, including emotional and psychological states, in the development and progression of breast cancer. Emotional and psychological considerations in treatment. Because of epigenetics, a holistic approach to cancer treatment could be more effective than a purely medical one. Alongside traditional treatments like chemotherapy and radiation, considering emotional well-being might not be alternative, but rather essential. Stress reduction techniques such as mindfulness, cognitive behavioral therapy, and even spiritual practices could potentially play a role in altering gene expression beneficially. The cultural synthesis. This multi-pronged perspective on breast cancer treatment and prevention can incorporate wisdom from various cultural and philosophical paradigms. From Ayurvedic principles advocating balanced living to Taoist ideas about the harmonious flow of energy, these ancient perspectives offer valuable insights that align surprisingly well with the latest scientific discoveries in epigenetics. Epigenetics is rewriting the script on breast cancer, emphasizing that our lifestyle choices, emotional states, and even cultural practices can influence our genetic makeup. This pioneering field unifies various disciplines, biology, psychology, and even spirituality into a cohesive framework, echoing the age-old wisdom that we are indeed more than the sum of our parts. Mindfulness and positive psychology, evidence-based benefits in breast cancer management. The scientific substance of mindfulness. The term mindfulness may evoke images of monks in meditation or peaceful nature retreats, but its applications and benefits go beyond these serene settings. Mindfulness-based stress reduction programs, in particular, have gathered considerable scientific evidence supporting their efficacy. Research indicates that MBSR programs can significantly reduce psychological distress and improve the quality of life for cancer patients. Mechanisms behind mindfulness, more than meets the eye. What makes mindfulness so potent? At its core, mindfulness involves paying full attention to the present moment without judgment. This practice may bring about physiological changes, such as reduced cortisol levels, lower blood pressure, and an enhanced immune response. By helping individuals navigate emotional terrain more effectively, mindfulness may serve as a complement to traditional cancer therapies, offering both mental and physical benefits. Stoicism and rational emotional management. Stoicism, an ancient Greek philosophy that advocates for rational thinking and emotional control, offers another angle into the science of well-being. The Stoic practices of detaching oneself from external circumstances and focusing on internal virtues resonate deeply with modern therapeutic techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy. Stoicism encourages us to interpret situations more objectively, thereby reducing stress and enhancing emotional wellness. MBSR and Stoicism, the meeting of East and West. Mindfulness-based stress reduction and Stoicism may seem like an unlikely pair, but they share a central tenet: the regulation of emotional response. While MBSR does this by anchoring the individual in the present, Stoicism does it by rational cognitive restructuring. Both approaches offer valuable, albeit different, pathways to emotional stability, which could be especially beneficial in the context of breast cancer. Evidence-based benefits, not just anecdotes. The benefits of mindfulness and positive psychology are not merely anecdotal, they are backed by robust scientific studies. For instance, research has shown that mindfulness interventions can reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety in cancer patients, potentially improving their quality of life and even affecting long-term survival rates. Cultural and philosophical resonance. Interestingly, both mindfulness and Stoicism have parallels in various cultural and philosophical systems. From Buddhist teachings on mindfulness to the Hindu philosophy of detached action, karma yoga, the core essence of these practices is echoed in spiritual traditions around the globe. This universality suggests that emotional regulation and mindfulness may be deeply ingrained in human psychological makeup. The science supporting mindfulness and positive psychology in the context of breast cancer is both compelling and promising. Whether it's through mindfulness practices rooted in ancient Eastern philosophies or Stoic principles hailing from the heart of ancient Greece, the road to emotional well-being is a multi-avenue thoroughfare awaiting exploration. By integrating these diverse but complementary approaches, we can offer a holistic, evidence-based paradigm for improving both emotional and physical health in breast cancer management. The resonant chords of gratitude and forgiveness in breast cancer recovery and prevention. The melody of gratitude, a positive refrain. Gratitude isn't just a Thanksgiving buzzword, it's a psychological state with real, tangible benefits for physical health. Studies have shown that maintaining a gratitude journal can lower stress levels, improve sleep, and even bolster the immune system, all factors that can be particularly crucial for breast cancer patients. Gratitude serves as a counter melody to stress, helping to recalibrate the mind and body's responses to life's challenges. The rhythmic balance of forgiveness, healing emotional scars. Forgiveness, often considered a spiritual or ethical act, also has significant psychological and physiological implications. Carrying grudges or nurturing bitterness can lead to chronic stress, a known player in the onset and progression of various diseases, including cancer. Forgiveness allows the individual to break free from the toxic cycle of negative emotions, offering not only emotional but also physical relief. This underscores the potential role of forgiveness in both cancer recovery and prevention. The confluence of gratitude and forgiveness, a harmonic symphony. Both gratitude and forgiveness can act as harmonizers in the complicated orchestration of emotions, thoughts, and physiological responses. Gratitude enables us to focus on the positive aspects of our life, shifting our mindset towards a state of abundance rather than lack. Forgiveness, on the other hand, helps us to resolve dissonance, to cleanse the emotional palate, so to speak, making room for more constructive feelings and actions. Philosophical underpinnings, universality across traditions. These virtues aren't confined to one philosophy or religious tradition, but are universal principles celebrated across cultures. The concept of gratitude is deeply embedded in various spiritual philosophies, from the Christian act of saying grace to the Hindu practice of offering thanks to deities. Similarly, forgiveness is a cornerstone in teachings from Buddhism's emphasis on compassion to the Judeo-Christian traditions that advocate for forgiving one's neighbors. Application in cancer management, a comprehensive approach. While not a substitute for medical treatment, gratitude and forgiveness can be vital adjuncts in a comprehensive cancer management strategy. They can be incorporated through various techniques, such as mindfulness training, cognitive behavioral therapy, or even spiritual counseling, depending on the individual's preference. Gratitude and forgiveness serve as potent tools for emotional tuning, enriching the multifaceted approach to breast cancer treatment and prevention. They're like the fine tuners on our orchestra's instruments, small, often overlooked, but indispensable for producing the clearest, most resonant sound. As we construct a holistic approach to cancer management, incorporating these emotional virtues can enhance both the melody and harmony of our healing symphony. The path of integration, an interdisciplinary overture in breast cancer treatment, the harmonic resonance of mainstream medicine. In the medical arena, traditional treatments like surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation have long been the stalwarts. They are the brass section of our metaphorical orchestra, powerful, prominent, and direct. These treatments target cancer cells with precision, aiming to eliminate or control their growth. But as effective as they can be, they often come with physical and emotional side effects that can severely affect quality of life. The strings section, alternative healing paths. Just as an orchestra would be incomplete without the rich melodies of the strings section, so too would be cancer treatment without alternative approaches like naturopathy, acupuncture, or Reiki. These methods may offer less aggressive, more holistic care options that can help manage symptoms and improve overall well-being. The percussion, mindfulness, and emotional wellness. Adding texture and depth to our ensemble, mindfulness and emotional well-being function like the percussion section. Their role isn't to overshadow the brass or strings, but to offer rhythmic balance, grounding the whole composition. Practices like mindfulness-based stress reduction and emotional wellness techniques can provide a robust framework for managing the stress, anxiety, and emotional roller coasters that often accompany a breast cancer diagnosis and treatment. The conductor, integrative medicine. In this symphonic approach to breast cancer treatment, the conductor is integrative medicine, a medical philosophy that marries the best of all worlds. The goal here isn't to replace traditional treatment, but to enhance it, filling in the gaps where mainstream medicine falls short. In essence, integrative medicine aims to treat the whole person, not just the disease. Scientific foundations, a marriage of disciplines. Multiple studies lend credence to the effectiveness of an integrated approach. For example, research has shown that acupuncture can alleviate chemotherapy-induced nausea, while mindfulness-based interventions have demonstrated efficacy in reducing psychological distress. The ensemble's cultural richness. This interdisciplinary approach is not just a fusion of medical disciplines, but a tapestry woven from the threads of various cultural, religious, and philosophical traditions. From the Ayurvedic principles of holistic well-being to the Taoist focus on life-energy balance, these ancient wisdoms can integrate seamlessly with modern science to create a more nuanced and effective treatment plan. In the complex orchestration that is breast cancer treatment, each instrument, from mainstream medicine and naturopathy to mindfulness and emotional wellness, has a vital role to play. When skillfully conducted, this interdisciplinary ensemble can offer a well-rounded, harmonious approach to healing, delivering a richer, more fulfilling melody of care and well-being. And like any grand symphony, the power is in the integration, the harmony, and the collective resonance of its many diverse parts. We've seen that the intersection between mind and body isn't just a philosophical concept, but a scientifically observed phenomenon. From the Western scientific research to Eastern philosophies and indigenous wisdom, there is a growing consensus that our emotional and mental states can significantly impact our health outcomes. This is not alternative medicine, this is integrated medicine. And it's about time we take a unified approach to combat breast cancer on all fronts. For more information on how your mind shapes your cancer journey, contact Dr. Sun at Life in the Bliss Lane, www.lifeintheblitzlane.com.